This story starts in February 2022 with this kind of news.
Russian President Vladimir Putin unleashed on Ukraine.
In the capital of Ukraine, the sound of missile strikes and air sirens.
Ukraine woke to explosions around the capital, Kiev.
Sorry guys for the mess here, but I just moved into my new studio and I'm so excited, yay! I'm gonna tell you everything about that, but first I need to clean up, so yeah, I'll be back.
I'm back! Hi! It's been a few seconds for you, but for me it's been a few weeks, a few painful weeks, and I'm so glad I'm done cleaning, and now when all that boring stuff is out of my way, I can finally tell you how I got here. And oh boy, last year was intense, so make yourself comfortable because it's story time! It's February 24th.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm waking up, super excited. Today is the day I'm going to sign the lease for my next studio, which I was searching for months, because I was waiting for the one space to become my next studio. Then I check my phone and I see it was bombarded with notifications, and I mean a lot of them. I'm not this popular. About how Russia invaded Ukraine. Yeah, we all saw the buildup of troops at the borders of Ukraine. But it looked like a show of force from Putin. Nobody took it seriously until it actually happened. Now I'm sitting here with chaos in my mind and broken plans, and I have no idea whether I can go on through with this lease anymore. I never thought I would see war so close to my country's borders, and this was frightening for a few reasons. First of all, we all knew that if Russia succeeds in this invasion, our little piece of land called Moldova is next. And we had no idea if Ukraine will be able to withstand. Also, it was scary seeing all those people seeking refuge. All was destroyed in a split second. And now they are forced to pack their entire life in one car and run away. After some deliberation, I myself decided to leave my country for a while. I struggled with the decision because instinctively I wanted to stay and help as much as I could. But also I felt responsibility for my own family, since we didn't know what Putin would do next. So I realized the best course of action in my situation is to help refugees financially while I'm searching for a safe place for me and my family in another country. So, on the next day, I packed my suitcase and crossed the border into Romania. At that point, I didn't know how long it would take and where it would lead me. That's how, by the way, I had a plan at the beginning of the year of traveling every other month, and that plan turned into full-time traveling for half a year. And yeah, normally that would be exciting news because who doesn't love traveling? But the context of war made it far less so. But I chose to look at this as an opportunity, because as an artist I cannot create without a constant supply of emotions, of moments and images. So I decided to make a plan and structure all that chaos that was in my mind. Oh, orange. My plan started in Romania, where I spent some time passing through Cluj, Sibiu and Bucharest towards the south. Then I arrived in Sofia. I spent a few weeks there, and since I still had to make a living, but most of my Airbnbs weren't suited for work, I decided to find nice co-working space.
That's a great idea.
That's how I stumbled upon puzzle co-working, and it seemed nice, so I joined. By the way, since I wasn't able to paint physically, I switched to digital illustrations. Next, I traveled from Sofia to Thessaloniki, but instead of going straight to the destination, and because I am a sucker for beautiful views and sightseeing, I took a hell of a detour of 10 hours, and it was worth it. As soon as I entered Greece, it was like another world. It looked so different from Bulgaria, Romania, especially Moldova, because most countries in Eastern Europe, they at some point either were a part of USSR or were heavily influenced by it. And believe me, nothing about USSR was ever beautiful or visually pleasing or any good at all. Yeah, moving on. So I reached finally Thessaloniki after 10 hours. It was early in the morning and I decided to stop for a coffee and some breakfast. And for some reason, that morning was the most impactful moment ever since I started this travel journey. Let me describe the scene for you. So it was in the morning, as I said. The weather was perfect, not too cold, not too hot. It was a warm, sunny day. And I was sitting in that Greek authentic cafe. Around me were people drinking their coffees, laughing, having a good time. And I remember that waitress, that tall, beautiful Greek girl. She was so cheerful and so carefree, even though she was constantly dropping stuff on the floor and smashing them to pieces. When I saw that for the first time, I freaked out. I was stressed for her, because in my country, when you do stuff like that, you have to pay for it. And then I looked at her, and she wasn't even bothered by it.
I don't give a shit.
I mean, she went like nothing happened. Nothing could destroy her vibe and mood, and I was so impressed by that girl. And every single detail of that morning in that cafe made me briefly forget for a moment about where I'm coming from, about all that uncertainty that was going on in my life, and about all the horrors that my neighbors were facing and still are facing till nowadays. And yeah, it may seem like an insignificant and casual morning, but for me, in all my context, that was magical. I spent 3 weeks in Thessaloniki. I visited everything I could, and I ate some really good food, because I am a sucker for good food also. I remember one day I was walking on the streets of Thessaloniki. I was with my boyfriend, and some people heard us speaking in Romanian, and they just stopped and told to us, "Welcome to Thessaloniki!" I mean, how cool is that? It literally made our day. It was so nice, they were so friendly. I had such a great experience being in Thessaloniki, and I'm ready to go back there anytime. But now it's time to move on to our next destination, which is in Italy. We of course stayed out of highways as usual for the same reasons as before. But this time we had to take a Bari to ferry. Oh, wait, it doesn't sound right. A ferry to Bari. Here we go, that's what I meant. Yeah, and we spent a few days in Bari. This was kind of a dream of mine for the last 5 years or so, because I have a friend who got married and they spent their honeymoon in Bari, and I saw photos and I kind of fell in love and I wanted to visit it too. And I did, twice, but more about that later. So our next stop was in Napoli, and stay with me with this one, okay? Because this was quite an experience. Arriving in Napoli, only then I realized how respectful the drivers in my country are, and that they actually know how to drive. let's just say traffic rules and indicators in Napoli are just recommendations because nobody follows them. It was the most chaotic city I've ever seen. And I have no idea how we managed to get out of there without a single scratch on our car. No, that's what I call luck. So we were exhausted, we were hungry and stressed due to all that traffic, and all we wanted at that point was to eat. So we searched on the internet some nice places to eat nearby our Airbnb place, and we found a place with 25,000 reviews, and it was pretty close to us, so we decided to go there. And as we were closing in, we saw a huge gathering of people in front of a shop. Nothing special, I mean. And soon we realized that's exactly the place we were heading to. When we arrived, we found out we have to get a ticket and stay in line even to enter that place. And from the outside, it wasn't even fancy looking at all. And we had some doubts, but okay, we stayed, we got our ticket. It had the number 86, and we were told to look at that LCD screen and to wait until our number pops. So we did. At the time, it showed the number 20 or something. So we waited outside in line for more than an hour to enter the pizzeria. Finally, our turn came and we entered, and guess what? The whole menu had only 3 pizzas and 2 kinds of sodas. I mean, no tea, no coffee, no wine, no salad or whatever, nothing besides 3 pizzas and 2 kinds of sodas. I mean, 25,000 reviews and a bunch of Michelin stars on the entrance, and you have only 3 pizzas? Really? At that point, I started to doubt even my sanity or the sanity of those 25,000 people who wrote all those good reviews, I mean great reviews. But I decided to look at the bright side of the situation, and I said to my boyfriend, "Mister, do you know how cool we are?" And he said, "No, tell me." And I said, "Well, we are so cool, we can afford to order the whole menu. We don't have to choose, we can order it all." And that's what we did. I mean, 5 euros per pizza, anyone can afford it. But nevertheless, our pizzas were brought to us finally, and guess what? These were the most basic pizzas ever. I mean, they had only 3 ingredients: some marinara sauce, some mozzarella, and a few basil leaves. And that's it. Not even meat or any other ingredient. And the other 2 pizzas were variations of the same 3 ingredients. I mean, 25,000 reviews and a bunch of Michelin stars for this? How? But stay with me here. It all made sense. The moment I took the first bite, I mean, oh my. It was the best pizza I've ever tried in my life. Yeah, I'm not this old, but still, I ate a lot of pizza, and this was by far the best pizza I've ever tried. I have no idea how these 3 ingredients can taste this good, heavenly good.
That was delicious.
And I'm not even being dramatic here. It actually is that good. If you ever happen to be in Napoli, you have to eat in l'antica pizzeria da Michele. You'll thank me later. Almost forgot. Another cool fact about my my dinner at the pizzeria. I sat at the same table where Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft, died a few years earlier. And I even have a photo to prove that. I look horrible in that photo, but still I will show it to you. So yeah, that was quite an experience. My first day in Napoli, so many emotions, so many states I went through. Yeah, that was a lot. Being so close to Pompeii, we had to visit it. And on the next day, we did. We went to Pompeii. And it was quite an interesting experience because when I visit such old places like Pompeii, I am kind of thrown back in the past and I start imagining what kind of people lived there, what kind of lives they had, and what they were talking about, how many children they had, all kinds of stuff about the lifestyle of that particular place. And this is the moment when I start to feel a bunch of new emotions and that refuel my creativity and my batteries. I feel I'm ready to create again. But after that, we had to hurry back to Napoli to catch our ferry this time towards Palermo, Sicily. But not before we got lost on our way back on the highways by entering every time the wrong directions and having also to pay for every entry several times.
Oh, what a loser!
And I mean, the lesson here is, actually there is no lesson. If you go to Napoli, you'll get lost. Even the freaking navigator couldn't figure out where the heck we were. So what chance did we have? So just roll with it and be prepared and save some coins for the toll. That's the lesson. So we arrived in Palermo, Sicily, and this was kind of our main destination because we booked our Airbnb here back in January when the plan was to travel every other month. But for the past half a year, we were moving every week. But now it's for the first time in a while when we're going to stay longer in one single place. We didn't have anything planned for after Sicily yet, but keeping up to date with the news from back home, this was the second time I felt some sort of relief, because we were watching how bravely Ukraine is standing up against its bully, and thanks to all the help and support that came from the West.
Well, the Senate has passed a bill providing $40 billion in aid to Ukraine.
The UK has promised another $2.3 billion in military aid to Ukraine.
We finally had a sliver of hope that maybe for now our country is safe from an invasion. And by the way, even though we are not directly involved in this conflict, Russia has already violated our airspace several times. Rockets flew over Moldova and even pieces of them fell on Moldova's territory and damaged a few houses. And if you think Russia made an excuse or apology regarding these incidents, you'd be wrong. They didn't even bother. I guess that's how they show they care about our neutrality and respect us as strategic partners, as they say. Also, judging on how accurate Russian missiles proved to be so far, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they actually hit something within Moldova. And this was the only concern I still had, because it's still scary. After spending some time in Sicily, I made up my mind to return back home in Moldova. It didn't seem like Russia had the capability to cross over Ukraine, so I decided to no longer let this uncertainty to keep me from making plans for my future in my country. I still needed a stable place to organize my studio and to get back to creating physical paintings. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love drawing on my iPad, and I am thankful for this amazing alternative I had for all these months. At the end, I felt unsatisfied. Because when I draw digitally, I don't experience the same process of creating art. And let me explain. I missed the actual process of squeezing the paint from the tube and mixing the colors and bending them to my will, as I may say. Watching how these colors are transforming into a whole another new color, I would describe the process of creating art, process of transformation, because everything is transforming and is taking new forms. This color from the tube is transforming in another color, which is taking another form on the canvas. This is magical for me. I missed also having an actual brush in my hand, feeling the texture of the fiber, the texture of the canvas I'm working on, the texture of all different kinds of paper with different surfaces, and also the smell of the paint, of the sprays, of the solvents. Everything, every detail is helping me to enter in a state which, how could I describe? It's like I'm kind of high, but I'm not taking any substances, by the way. It's a kind of high from inspiration, from being inspired, a creativity high maybe. I don't know, it's special, and maybe in the future I will describe it better. But for now, let's just say I didn't have that when I drew digitally. And I felt like digital illustrations kind of lack soul, maybe, because when I am creating something physical, I'm touching it. I'm putting in that painting a part of my soul, a part of my energy. And how I know that? Well, because at the end of a working day, I'm feeling drained when I'm painting physically. I feel like I have no more energy, no more power, inspiration, nothing. I'm drained because I put all of myself into that painting. I guess that's a piece of me in the end who will live forever. So back to Sicily. I sat down and came up with a plan. Step one of my plan was to invite a few of my friends to spend the rest of our trip together, because it's more fun like that, and the more the merrier, as they say. Even though I don't know who they are, but as they say. That's what we did, and our friends finally arrived, and we together stepped into step 2 of my plan, which was to visit and to explore Sicily from the inside. The plan was to visit the major cities and destinations on the island. And what I realized after visiting a few cities, they all looked different. And that's because Sicily is one of the most conquered places in the world. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, it was one of the most conquered, and you can see footprints of different empires who took over Sicily and influenced it and left a part of their culture inside the Sicily. So now we can see kind of a salad of different pieces from different cultures, different traditions, and all of this made Sicily look so unique and so special, so different and original, I may say. I don't know, I liked it. It's so beautiful. After visiting everything we could inside the Sicily, we moved to the next step in my plan, which was to explore Sicily from the outside. And how could you do that? Well, we booked a day-long trip on sailboat, and I had the time of my life that day. I mean, it was the highlight of my trip. It was breathtaking, amazing, unique. Yeah, what can I say? Sicily is beautiful inside and out. Jokes from Gabi. Okay, so it's time to move on. So we left Taormina at the end, because after visiting Taormina we took a quick ferry from Sicily to the mainland. And it was a little bit strange because you can literally see the mainland from Taormina. And I thought it's a few meters away, but it took us an hour with the ferry to get there, so yeah. And that's how we arrived at the bottom of the boot. Next, we had to choose which way we are going, and we decided to go to Bari again for the second time because we loved Bari and we wanted to show to our friends the best places there, especially Polignano Mare and that famous beach. We spent a whole day there. It's a really beautiful place. Next, we decided to go, guess where? Back to Napoli, of course, mainly because of that pizza. I couldn't just skip or not to choose to eat there again. And also, the second reason was to show to our friends how fun is the traffic in Napoli and to give them a more strong experience, we put one of our friends in the driver's seat. So yeah, that's not mean at all, we love him. But he drove through entire Napoli, yeah. So we arrived at our beloved pizzeria. We ordered a bunch of pizzas to go this time, and we ate a few there, and they agreed with us. This was the best pizzas in their life too, so approved by 4 people. Plus 25,000 good reviews, so you can definitely eat there. Later that day we stopped at the gas station and we decided to finish that pizza, and you won't believe me, it was still the best pizza I've ever eaten in my life, even being cold. I don't know what that sorcery is, but cold or hot, it's the best pizza, it's still the best pizza. After that, we arrived in Rome. We all wanted so badly to visit the Colosseum, but we didn't take into account one tiny little detail, that the world is coming out from a pandemic. You have no chances of getting tickets on the spot. You have to order them online ahead of time. So yeah, we didn't get in. We stayed outside and just looked at it from the outside. Yeah, like a few losers, you know. But well, it's another reason to be back, I guess. Our next stop was in Firenze, and I was the only one from the group who wanted to visit Firenze for its origins in art and Renaissance and all those great artists. The rest wanted to visit Firenze only because of a video game, Assassin's Creed. I mean, come on, the Renaissance, the great artists, the art, it's not enough reason you want to visit only for a video game? I don't get it. To be fair, when I got home and we bought our PlayStation 5, I started to play that game, and okay, that's cool. Okay. I admit it. Firenze was... I can see myself living there. That's how Firenze was. I felt like home. I would definitely go back to Firenze, also because I didn't have the chance to visit the Duomo of Firenze. The main reason I wanted to go to Firenze in the first place. Our next and last stop in Italy was Venice. Venice is beautiful, Venice is colorful, Venice is unique and different. And also, Venice is wet. I mean humid. The weather was so humid, for me it's too much. I have wavy, high porosity hair and it doesn't like humidity and humid weather. So unfortunately, Venice, we're not a match. The next destination is Slovenia. I don't know where I got that from, but every time I was thinking about Slovenia, I was imagining something fairy tale-like. I don't know why. I entered Slovenia with some expectations. I expected a fairy tale, and I got my fairy tale, but not the fairy tale I was expecting. You know the phrase, when it rains, it pours? Well, that's where I learned the literal meaning of that, because there it started raining heavily. Because of you, fairy tale like. I got my fairy tale. Yeah. So our next and last destination was Moldova, going home. But because I am who I am and I do me, and me is crazy sometimes, we took a detour, this time 500 kilometers detour, straight to Budapest. Why, you may ask? Because we wanted to eat. So, the story behind all this goes back to Thessaloniki, where we found a place called TGI Fridays, and my boyfriend said he adored this place and he used to eat there the best ribs in the world back when he lived in California. So he wanted to check if the ribs are still this good as he remembers them. So he showed me and I fell in love also. And now we decided to also show to our friends how good the ribs are at TGI Fridays, and the only TGI Fridays closest to us and on our way home was in Budapest, and we had to take a 500 kilometers detour only to eat there. And yeah, we entered Budapest only to eat at TGI Fridays, and then we went straight home. After we arrived in Chisinau, our next goal in my to-do list was to start our hunt for a new studio. I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Chisinau, Moldova, it's quite hard to find a nice space, especially when you have a short-ish list of requirements and expectations like we had. We didn't want a just white, boring space. I've had enough of this. We wanted a space with some oomph to it. And by that I mean industrial looking, industrial style. Also, it should be big enough to accommodate all our activities, bright enough, affordable enough, and preferably located in downtown. I know it sounds like mission impossible, but I kept believing we will find it. And we did, but almost another half a year later. Yeah, it was tough and long, but so much worth it. I mean, when I saw it, I loved it, and I wanted it, and I got it. Almost like Ariana Grande.
I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it.
I mean, it's perfect. It's big, it has 125 square meters, it is bright, it's industrial looking, as you can see. It's located in downtown, precisely on the main street of Chisinau. And the most important thing, it has high ceilings. That's a deal breaker for me for some reasons. And I'll give you a quick background story for you to have a context. I started painting since I remember myself, and that is more than 20 years ago. When I was a kid, I was drawing, painting in my bedroom, in my parents' apartment, and my room was quite small, so I only painted on small sizes. After that, when I moved out, I moved into an apartment, and from my bedroom, I started to work in my living room. After that, I got into a real bad situation, and I was forced to move all my paintings into a small, filthy, full of insects and very humid garage. And I didn't know in the beginning, but it also had a leaky roof. And every time when outside was rainy, my floors were flooded. And a few of my paintings actually got severely damaged, they were destroyed. After a few months working there, I managed to get out and to rent a nicer space. That place was great, was clean, was dry, was perfect for that period of my life. After that, I managed to rent again an apartment and move out from my mom. And I started painting in my living room again. Yeah, no chances for me to create big paintings so far. So that's why, after that I started traveling. So yet again. That's why this space is such a big deal for me. Now I can go fully Rambo with my paintings. I can create huge paintings, and my goal is to paint 3-4 times my sizes. I want to feel tiny when I am next to my paintings. So yeah, we'll see. So far, I am in love with this space. We'll see what happens next. So, last year, from not knowing where my future was going to be, in which country, and whether Moldova will be next in Russia's war of aggression, and from thoughts of living forever the place I was born in, to settling back home, and even finding a nice place where I can work and create. I mean, that's insane, in a good way. This only took a year but felt like much more than that. And I think that's because of all the mental changes I went through. This journey helped me become more resilient to stressful situations, which leads to more accurate thinking. And I didn't know it can be that way. I learned how to act fast and pack my entire life into one suitcase and adapt to changing environments. But above that, I started to appreciate critical thinking even more, because I saw what a negative impact can have propaganda on an entire nation, and that's insane. Even in Moldova, the vast majority of people are influenced by Russian propaganda. And when I am talking with some people and I'm hearing how they're thinking and what they're saying, that's scary. But despite everything, the last year I can say I regained my faith in humanity. Because in the world where I thought we are living, nobody would give a damn about what's happening in Ukraine. But what I saw happening was complete opposite. Everyone mobilized. Everyone was, the vast majority of nations were willing to help and helped. Everyone did what they could in the best interest of the planet, not only for one country. And seeing that from the outside was so encouraging. I am proud of us humans. I am proud being one of us. Now I will say something that everyone knows. Everyone heard that, everyone knows, but still, it needs to be said one more time. I learned to cherish every moment I have with my family and dear ones, because as everyone knows, tomorrow may not come, like happened in Ukraine overnight. Thousands of families lost everything, lost the loved ones, lost their lives. And I saw that so close. It was eye-opening. I felt it differently, and it changed something inside me. Now I appreciate more all the people I love, and my family, and the time I have with them. And I am trying not to let something unsaid or undone, because I truly may not have another chance to do that. And I think every one of us should reevaluate how we see our families, how we see our friends, and what kind of relationship we build. Now looking back, I'm feeling grateful every and each of my experiences for the changes I went through, and I am grateful to have such neighbors whose courage and strength keeps us safe also. I am grateful to have a life, to have a family and friends, and being here, being safe, being home. I wish you the same. Take care.